I would go into our next guest and I would go conviction that he should be coaching your NBA team. Like when I said to Josh Harris, you should coach, you should go get Andy Reid, talk to him about your NFL direction. I'd tell an NBA owner like Josh Harris to talk to this man because it's leg day.
Leg day. Leg day. Leg day. Leg day.
The great, here he is, Tim Legler. I would say with conviction, any NBA, any college program that you want a great basketball mind, you need to talk to that guy right there. Hello, Legs.
What's up, man? I love that intro, dude. That's the best. I love leg day. It's the best. It's the best.
Man, is an awesome Final Four, right? Like these series are incredible. So let's go out west because I'm so enamored by the West, and let's start with Game 7 of the semifinals because the T-Wolves are down, right? Like the Nuggets have control of that game, and it switches on a dime, Legs. How does that happen?
Yeah, I thought it was over. I'm not going to, I've seen enough to know 20-point leads in the NBA are erased at a higher degree than they ever have been because of the prevalence of the three-point shot. It used to be when I played in the 90s, if you had a 20-point lead, it was game because teams were taking like 15 threes a game as a team, right? Only 2 or 3 guys had license to shoot the shot. Now the whole roster can shoot it. You're taking 30 to 40 a night. All these teams. So those 20-point leads disappear quickly. But in that situation, with how good Denver is offensively, you're up 20 in the second half. It's like, okay, just don't turn the ball over and execute and get field goal attempts. There's no way Minnesota's running you down. And what happened, first of all, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Minnesota from this standpoint. Just mentally, to still believe with a team, and we call them a young team a lot, but look, they got Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. Like that's not a super young. The other guys are Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Yeah, those are younger players. But and Naz Reid, like pretty young guy. Those other 3 guys are vets. So it's a mixture of guys. But to have the belief, Anthony, that just stay with it. And we can do this like in a Game 7 on the road down 20 to that team, the defending champions who are the best executing team in the league offensively, like just to continue to have the state of readiness. And I'll give them credit for that. So let's just start there. They're believing, okay? Now, what has to change? 2 things. The first thing that has to happen, you have to, because their offense was terrible in the first half, and Denver's defense had something to do with it, but I thought Minnesota just was inept offensively. You got to start making some shots first. Like everybody talks about their defense and all that. Yeah, that's true. We'll get to that. But you got to first, the ball's got to go in a couple times, where then you start to think, okay, we took the lid off. Now we're in the game. Because there's plenty of time to do this. Our defense will give us the ultimate chance because we can string together 5 stops in a row if we have to do that. But it doesn't matter if we're not scoring. So that's where it began for me. And how did they start scoring? First half, Denver's running double teams at Anthony Edwards out on the perimeter. Like later in the clock, it was interesting strategy. They weren't hitting him right when he came off across half court. They weren't hitting him on his first ball screen. They were hitting him the second time he caught the ball where the clock's down 12, 11, 10, 9. Now they're running somebody at him on the perimeter, and Minnesota wasn't spaced properly. They were not making Denver pay for that. And now you go into the half, you got 30-something points, okay? Second half, same exact situation. They're running these late doubles at him on the perimeter. The ball was coming out quicker and getting to the opposite side of the floor a lot faster. So now you got some big threes made on the weak side. Mike Conley hit a couple. Then they dumped it inside. Gobert got a couple baskets. Naz Reid hit one. Now they're also getting on the offensive glass because there's a double team taking place. There's lanes, runways to run at the glass and get second shots because Denver's out of position defensively. So Minnesota started aggressively attacking those double teams. First half, they weren't. They were back on their heels, like playing like not to lose. For second half, they were like, okay, we know where the double's coming from. We're going to get this ball out, and other guys are going to go make plays. So now they start making baskets. Now you could smell it. Denver started to get very reluctant offensively. They're playing slower. They were almost like waiting for the clock to kind of milk. Yeah. And Minnesota got up in them, and everything was contested. And two guys were making shots. To think about this, Anthony, the rest of their team, outside of Murray and Jokic, made 8 shots total in the game. The rest of the roster, outside of Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, who were their 2 best offensive players, their supplemental players made 17 shots in the game.
Yeah.
You get 8 shots out of the rest of your roster. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. was a no-show. Aaron Gordon,
I was going to say, he had a horrible series. Horrible series. He had 2 games where he played all right.
Porter Jr.?
One was really, yes.
Yeah, no doubt. And that was the number one guy that you needed to make them pay because of his catch and shoot ability. He's 6'9", 6'10" with a pure stroke. You know how much attention Jokic and Murray are going to get. Those are the shots to be had. He was 3 for 12 in this game, and like 7 or 8 of those, man, are like he makes those 75% of the time when he's in a gym by himself. They're the same looks, and he just couldn't get it done. If he makes literally 2 threes in the second half of that game, they win the game. Like the timing of the misses is so important to stop momentum. It's and I talk about this all the time after games because people don't notice how important some of these misses are. I'm like, all right, they just cut it from 12 to 9. You miss one. They go down. Now it's a 6-point game or a 7-point. Guess what? Now you're within striking distance. Whereas if you make that shot now it's 12 again. That feels like such an uphill climb. You're pushing a boulder uphill and you're like losing traction when you're Minnesota. But when you keep missing those shots that you're getting, you got 4 guys behind that boulder. You're pushing that thing to the top. And so the timing of the misses was so important for them. And you add it all up, it's this perfect storm of Minnesota running them all the way down in that game. And shocked me, shocked a lot of people. Wasn't shocked that they won. I was shocked at the nature. You down 20 on the road to that team in a game 7. Come on, how are you going to do that? But yet here we are. They did it, and now Minnesota moves on to the conference finals against Dallas.
So let's talk because that Dallas OKC was awesome too.
Yeah,
here's the thing I love about it. It's great basketball. Just really, really good basketball. I've been. My cousin said to me the other day, he's like, "Are you watching this?" I go, "Dude, I watch it every night." I love it. It's just great ball, man.
You're a junkie, man. I know what you're doing. Every night you got the games on. Why wouldn't you? That was probably that closeout game. The game 6 was probably the most entertaining game I've seen in the entire postseason. Because both of those teams were throwing haymakers at each other in the fourth quarter. Yeah. One made shot after another, one big moment after another. Then it comes down to that call, and I know people were kind of thinking that's a touch call. And I'm going, you're asking the wrong guy. You know why? Because I'm a shooter. And I'm telling you right now, you better protect my hands at all costs when I go up for a shot. And I know Shea hit the ball first, and we've seen that happen before where you hit the ball and then follow through and hit the arm, and they let it go. But the difference is when they allow it to happen, when you hit the ball, you dislodge the ball in some way to let the officials know on review that was the play. You made the block, you dislodged the ball, and now anything after that is all bets are off. The ball never moved. He hit it, but P.J. Washington still had it firmly in his cradle. So then when he goes to actually now release the ball and you're hitting his arm on the release, to me it's an easy call. And I understand why Oklahoma City fans are upset, but that's the right call. And give P.J. Washington credit because he had a very good series. He had a rough night and was spectacular in the last 6 minutes of the game. 2 made threes and then those 2 free throws that win the game.
I was going to bring him up to you. That was the best trait. We talk about how Minnesota was built in Gobert and how brilliant that move was. Well, P.J. Washington was a great move because he does everything. He stretches. He gave them support because you always need a third guy to step up. Where you brought up Michael Porter Jr., this is where P.J. Washington won that series for them because he was their guy.
Yeah, and sometimes I wish I go back to the trading deadline that night, and I remember I did a 1-hour special show with Adrian Wojnarowski, Cassidy Hubbard was hosting, Bobby Marks was on that show, and they had me breaking down the trades of the day, and there was some bigger ones in terms of names, And then we got done, and it's like the last question was like, any other team you think that did well? I said, how are we not talking more about what Dallas just did? They just added Daniel Gafford, who was probably the only guy on Washington's roster that I liked when I watched them play. He consistently played hard every night on a bad team. They needed length and athleticism in the middle. They already had Lively, who I really like, but now you got two guys. Now, at no point in the game are you without a 6'11" athlete, an active athlete, lob catcher, which is important for Luka, a rim protector. And then you added PJ Washington. Like, what an upgrade over Grant Williams, who they had at that spot, who they moved. So I'm going, yeah, we should probably be talking more about Dallas. And basically from early March, I said this team's going to the conference finals if they avoid Denver. Just avoid Denver, which they did, and you'll go to the conference finals. Now, I didn't expect them to be playing Minnesota in the conference finals. I expected them to be playing Denver, but here we are. They get the Timberwolves instead, and Dallas to me is an incredibly intriguing team. Here's one thing people don't realize about Dallas, Anthony. We talk about Minnesota's defense all year, and they're number one in the league overall, and they've been great in the postseason at times. We've seen it. Here's the thing. Over the last 2 months of the season, Dallas was the number one defense in the league. People don't realize it. You got Derek Jones, Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington, and even Luka and Kyrie are playing harder. Now, they're never going to be shut down, guys, but they are competing, and they're rotating the way they're supposed to, and they're helping. And Kyrie in particular, some of his closeouts to the three-point line, I've never seen him exhaust that kind of energy defensively, even on nights when he's not getting a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So give him credit, man. I've actually enjoyed watching Kyrie Irving play more right now than I ever have throughout his career. And he's not putting up the gaudy numbers, but he's competing.
Yeah.
And he's there mentally, and he's bought in, and he's like being a good teammate. And like, I'm like, yes. And by the way, can still be spectacular for, stretches of games. So I like Dallas a lot. I think Luka's the differentiating factor in this series. And I know a lot of people think Minnesota now, it's their path to the title. I'm on record as saying I like Dallas to win this series.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you're so right about Kyrie. Because, Kyrie's crazy, goofy, does things. He is so locked in. Like, I was shocked by how hard he's playing. Like, he was always a tremendous player, right? Tremendous talent. But he never played defense. And, man, the level of care and basketball IQ, he was a smart guy, but he's been unselfish. He's been amazing. He's allowed, because you need Luka to run the show. Luka has to run the show. And he's been unselfish to allow that to happen. I actually think I've been so impressed by him. I just wanted to kind of double down on it.
Yeah, well, and I want to quickly just say, just look at his career path. Okay, so Kyrie, number one pick in Cleveland, bad team. Who knows what that was going to turn into. Then they go get LeBron, and they bring him in with Kyrie, and they add Kevin Love. And Kyrie Irving in that moment, this electrifying offensive talent. But now LeBron's there. LeBron's running the show. LeBron is the leader. LeBron is the guy that's accountable for everything. He's setting the table. Just go stay in your lane, which is we're going to give you opportunities every night where it's kind of like your show for the next 6 minutes. Go be great offensively. Don't worry about any leadership responsibilities. Just go score because you're incredibly talented. And he thrived, and they won a championship. They went to 4 finals. He hit the biggest shot in the history of their franchise, the 3 against the Warriors in a Game 7 to win that title. And he's given the proper respect. But then what happened to him was he felt like he wasn't getting enough respect. Like he thought, you know what? I'm good enough to be the number one guy and lead a team to a title. So he forces his way out, away from LeBron, goes to Boston, who was a young team, had been to a conference finals, and he found out real quick, when you're the number one guy and you also have to lead and make guys better, he did that for 2 years, Anthony. He didn't want any part of that. He's like, that's not who I am, man. And he realized this is a hard job, so he wants out of there. Now he goes to Brooklyn. That obviously was a train wreck from the beginning. So then he leaves there, and guess what? He's right back in exactly the same lane that he was next to LeBron. And that is when he's at his best. Because you take all this other stuff off the plate, man. That's Luka's responsibility, and he's good enough to do it. Manage other guys' games, get 35, 40 if it takes that. And now you just go be great offensively. But the one component he's added here that he didn't even do in Cleveland, he is actually digging in defensively, and he's battling. And man, oh man, it's been great to watch him. And I give him his flowers every chance I get, because very rarely do you see guys add that component this late in their career when they're known as an offensive player. You're not going to see that. He's on the floor for loose balls. He's fighting over screens. He's sprinting back in transition. I'm going, wow, what a revelation. So give him credit, man. The guy's showing all of us he really does want to win. And they're now one series away from the finals.
All right, the Bird Bowl in the East gets underway, and can Indiana stress them at all?
Oh, definitely. There's no question in my mind. And they listen. This is a team that is going to get a team in Boston that's going to play the exact style that Indiana wants to play. Now, New York got sucked into that style. They didn't want to play that style. And they had some games that actually success, and they won playing that style, that fast, up the floor, push the pace. At the end of the day, though, it's going to wear you out if you don't have enough depth, and New York had no depth, and it caught up to them. And Indiana kept their pace up for 7 games. And in the 7th game, they shot damn near 70% from the field. That's how fresh they were. That's the balance they had. That's the number of shot makers they had. New York completely ran out of gas. They had no other answers, too banged up, and the pace got to them. Boston's going to run this same style. And Indiana's like, great, let's go. It's Rucker Park. Let's drop the ball and let's go up and down. And I know Boston's got a lot of talent, but Indiana's like, we're so comfortable playing this pace, pushing the ball, advanced passes up the floor. Everybody touches it. That's great. So it's 2 similar styles, higher scoring series, a lot of threes taken. Indiana absolutely is going to give Boston problems, because here's the one thing about Indiana that I love. Boston has 4 great individual one-on-one containment defenders when you talk about guarding isolation players. Tatum, Brown, White, and Holiday, all 4 guys. Indiana doesn't ISO at all. Indiana moves the ball through the air, and when a guy catches it, he immediately gets downhill into the paint to create the next draw and kick action. It's a totally different type of offense to defend than what Boston's strength is, which is, you want to ISO us? We got 4 elite on-ball defenders, and we're going to make it a tough shot at the end of it. Well, that's not what Indiana's going to ask you to do. They don't play that way. You're going to have to chase the ball, and you're going to have to be on point with your rotations and your closeouts. And Indiana knows you're going to make mistakes eventually, and that's why they were one of the highest scoring teams in the league. They are again putting up those numbers in the playoffs. Nothing has changed for them, and that's why they're going to give Boston a hell of a series. I would not be shocked one bit if we ended up with a Game 7 in Boston at the end of this.
Wow, that would be outrageous. All right, who is the key for Indiana? Now, obviously, Halliburton, the whole thing, but give me the guy that that if he has a big series, he could do that. That'll be the key to the 7 games.
Miles Turner is, for me, he's top. Now, Halliburton is the answer, but you said kind of, that's obvious. I agree with you. But here's why I will quickly touch on Halliburton. He is a different player some nights in terms of his aggressiveness in the first quarter looking for shots. I don't know why that is. He had 2 games in this series in Madison Square Garden. He took 5 shots and 7 shots.
Yep.
And was just basically you didn't notice him. Comes out in Game 7. He looks early. He hunts a couple deep shots, and it's like dipping your toe in the water, and he hits a couple. Now you got a problem on your hands because he's so good to his right hand off the dribble, getting into the lane and pushing pace. When he's also making threes, you got a real problem on your hands, and that was what he showed on Sunday, and that was, to me, the death knell for the Knicks. When I saw Halliburton early in that game, I was like, okay, the Pacers are in great shape because Halliburton's here to play tonight. Some nights, I don't know what it is. He just doesn't have the same aggressiveness. I don't answer for you, but that to me is Rick Carlisle's #1 speech. You got to have that speech with Halliburton going into the series, like every night. I don't care. I don't care if you go 3 for 18. We need you to shoot the ball. So that's the obvious answer. Now the second guy's Turner.
Series. The first 4 or 5 games, he didn't score. It's like 14, 15.
Right, and then he goes for 2 30-point games back to back, and it was simply a matter of being preemptive. Yeah. Like, I'm anticipating. I always say shooting a basketball is an anticipatory act. It is not an afterthought. You can't shoot and be an aggressive scorer as an afterthought. Like I caught it. Oh, damn, I'm open. Okay, I guess I'll shoot it. No, you're always expecting to be open. And when he plays that way, he's a different player. Then the other guy's Miles Turner. I know Siakam's going to be his normal versatile self all over the place, high motor. He's going to be great. There's no question in my mind. So where does the fluctuation come? That's what I'm looking at. Neesmith and Nembhard and McConnell's been unbelievable in the postseason.
TJ's been ridiculous.
He's been incredible, man. And I love TJ with the Sixers too. I think all Sixers fans did. But being honest, did TJ McConnell ever have this level of a run consistently to what he's doing right now?
No.
He's been like the best player on the court for stretches.
Yeah.
In a playoff series. It's incredible
and he's
how
scoring
great
the ball too. Like
wow.
And
the Knicks never solved him.
No.
7 games, they never figured out TJ McConnell. Now, I'm going to pay money. You want to talk about two dudes that are wired the same way, TJ McConnell and Peyton Pritchard. Oh my God, you're talking about two dudes. These are two of the quickest guys in the league. Two of the guys with the highest. They're so like feisty. The small man competitiveness that they have, like to prove themselves every night. I can't wait. There's going to be sparks flying off their sneakers. They're so quick going at each other. That's going to be one of the most fascinating matchups of the entire series. Is going to be Pritchard and McConnell going at it. But Miles Turner has to be big in this series with shot making and rim protection. And this is why Porzingis' absence early is huge for Indiana, because Porzingis will draw Miles Turner away from the paint. You don't have a choice. Porzingis isn't on the floor. Horford can make threes, not at the distance and the consistency of Porzingis. So now Miles Turner's more of a factor in the lane against Tatum and Brown and White and Holiday. That's a big part early in the series. Listen, it is absolutely imperative. Indiana has to split the first 2 games without Porzingis. Because who knows? He might be there game 3. He might not be there at all. Who knows? Because I look at the Milwaukee series, Anthony. Doc Rivers said every game, Giannis is close. Giannis is close.
Right.
The series ended, and they asked Giannis, and he goes, I was nowhere close to playing. And I'm going, okay. So there's some gamesmanship, I think, going on with Doc. I don't know when we're going to see Porzingis, but they've already said he's not going to be the first 2 games in Boston. So if you're Indiana, you have to split those 2 games. And if they do that, I think you got a really long series on your hands.
Yeah, I that's awesome. All right, last thing, and we'll talk about this in the future after the playoffs, like what's going on with the Sixers. But just a little game. If you have one phone call and you can call the agent of any of the proposed free agents to be, or a GM to go kind of trade for your guy, where are you spending that call? Who's
any guy in the league, or are we talking realistic?
Any guy within reason. So I'll say marketing.
Give me names. Give me names.
All right, marketing. Like, because the trades, obviously you got Paul George, LeBron, you got Jimmy Butler, Lauri Markkanen, and you got from New Orleans, Ingram.
Of that 5,
yeah,
it's Lauri Markkanen. I'm going to tell you what. Right now,
I love Lauri Markkanen.
Look, Paul George. Paul George is an impressive regular season player. Paul George is not the answer for what the Sixers need, which is somebody that can come through in tight spots in the playoffs. And you can count. Now, Jimmy Butler, he falls into that category, but I'm at the point with Jimmy Butler where I'm just like, man, oh man, does the regular season matter at all?
Yeah.
At all? And that's something else the Sixers, they don't need that vibe, because for a fact Embiid's going to miss time next year. He's going to miss time. He does every year. So, and look at the record when he was out this year with Maxey as your best player. And where does that mean? That means you're in the play-in. You're trying to survive the play-in. So you gotta be up there, man, in the top 3, top 4 in the regular season to give yourself the best chance possible. And so Paul George would be a better answer in the regular season, actually, to position you better to sustain those losses if guys go out. But in the postseason, Jimmy Butler's a better answer. But where are you going to be at that time? So I don't really love either one of those answers. Brandon Ingram, my goodness. Talk about a guy, again, some nights it's like, wow, 6'11", off the dribble with length.
wing that you
And then
need.
other nights I go, does anybody have any smelling salts? I need some smelling salts. Like, can we, like Brandon, the game started 30 minutes ago. Did you know what time the game started? Like, is that what you want? You want that? You want a guy you got to motivate? I mean, come on, man. That's the one thing I would always tell, and it's totally different level. I understand. When I was coaching my AAU guys, man, I would say some days at practice would start off slow, first 30 minutes, man, and I would scream, and these guys, every one of these players will testify to this. My big thing was, I am not coaching motivation. I'm not. I should motivate you by the fact that what I just said we need to do is the answer. That's motivation, because you have all the information you need. That's the motivation I'm providing. I'm not putting my foot in your ass to get you to run up and down the court. And so for Brandon Ingram, I look at him and I go, my goodness, what is this guy's deal? Like, why is he just doesn't, I don't know that the burning desire's there, man. Do you want that vibe? No. So of those guys you mentioned, Lauri Markkanen, to me, he plays hard. He's really versatile offensively. I think he's a nice compliment to Embiid because of the way he shoots the ball and spaces the floor. He's a very good defensive rebounder. That to me, and he's like the right age. You know, he's not a guy, you know, listen, if you want a guy you want to give the ball to go isolate and go get a big bucket, then no, he's not your answer. That's Paul George or Jimmy Butler or Ingram, any of those guys. That's more their wheelhouse.
Need that with Maxey, because Maxey showed you that. So I don't think you need that. I think that actually makes it worse for them. I think you need a guy like Markkanen who's perfect fit in the third role, whatever that role is. That's perfect for them.
I agree with you. And look, Maxey actually playing with a guy like that hurts him. It hurts him.
Yes.
So now you might not have found the answer, because the guys I mentioned are either they're a little bit older, they've had some issues with injuries or postseason performances, and it's like, is this the answer? Is this where you want to go, or do you want a younger guy that's more consistent, that actually still has a number of years at peak level? We don't even know if Lauri Markkanen, you've seen the best of him yet. Like he's turned himself in. Like, I remember when he came out of the draft and he was in Chicago, I remember people thinking like, oh man, like, you know, he's a bust, or he shouldn't have been picked that high, whatever. And it's just like he moved around a little bit and he ended up in a spot, and he just takes a certain set of eyes on you to unlock something. They see something in there, and that's what they have found with him in Utah. And this guy's a big-time offensive player, man, and he fits with Maxey and Embiid. So if that were possible, have at it. I looked at their salary situation yesterday. I was just looking at it. I go, they got nobody under contract except Embiid. It's wild. Like, you talk about a blank page. Man, oh man, this is the ultimate blank. Obviously, they're gonna max up Tyrese. That they should do, and they can afford another max guy. So they're gonna do something great. But right now,
the marketing thing is you got to trade all those. They're gonna want the 5-1s or whatever they're gonna want. And at this point, you got to do it. Like at this point, forget about it. Like just do it.
It's because of Embiid's age and injury history. You have to. It's time. It's time. You take those chips and you shove them to the middle of the table.
Yeah, and to your point, those other two guys are older. Like that's a disaster waiting to happen, because you know once the run expires, they're done. At least you can go forward with Maxey and Markkanen.
Yep, I agree, man. Look, I love Lauri Markkanen, and actually Oklahoma City had an opportunity to make that move at the trade. Now, here's what's interesting: Utah was really struggling, and Markkanen's name was all over the place. And Oklahoma City's I think they've got 872 first-round picks in their closet, right?
Yeah.
So you're going, okay, wow. Can you imagine Markkanen on that team? So I'm going, should he do it? I said, absolutely, man. Whatever it takes, go get it. But you know, it's funny. Right at that time, Utah won like 8 games in a row. And all of a sudden, they went from buried with San Antonio. Now, all of a sudden, they're like on the cusp of the play-in. And you're like, wow, they changed their thinking. So then they started to try to win games. They went past the trading deadline. And then after that, they went in the tank again. And they started losing, and they ended up with the season they had. But that's obviously now revisited. I think Markkanen is a guy that a lot of teams could plug in because of his style of play. He's efficient because he's a catch and shoot mostly. He's athletic and runs the floor if you want to run. And he's a very good defensive rebounder. He's not a liability down there. He gives tough rebounds. So I think he would be a great fit with a team like Philly.
Yeah. Legs, I love leg day. It's the greatest. What's your schedule this week? Where are you headed?
Oh, my goodness. So I'm in New York right now, headed to Bristol tonight. I'll be on Sports Center at 6, and then after game one, I can't even remember. Is it East or West tonight? I don't even know what the schedule says. Game one of one of those series is tonight. I'm on after the game on Sports Center, and then I go to D.C. for Van Pelt Wednesday, Thursday. I'll be at the Jersey Shore for the weekend, baby.
Yes. Cape
Breaking in Memorial Day, and then I'm in Van Pelt all next week. Monday through Friday after all those games, I'll be on there breaking it down with him as soon as the game ends.
Love it. Love it. You're the greatest, brother. We love
All
you,
right,
man. Love leg day. There he is, the great Tim Legler.
We all silly like the mayor.